I'm not sure I should actively recommend that you read Nadine Dorries's article in the Mail, but it is extraordinary this morning. Basically, it's a pity me piece about not being elevated to the House of Lords, where all the serious business gets done, she says. And she blames specifically Rishi Sunak's political secretary, James Forsyth, who made sure that certain names would not be on the HOLAC list, on the list of the committee that scrutinises those people who've been recommended for a peerage. She says, and I'm going to read, Forsyth is Rishi's best friend from school and was best man at his wedding. The two are allies stretching back years. It's my understanding that he ensured my name was not on the list by failing to pass on vital information from HOLAC to me and the other MPs on the list that we needed to agree to stand down from the Commons and join the Lords within 6 months or face being left off. I know that constitutionally it's not possible for an MP to sit in both houses, but this was the very first time I'd heard of the time frame involved. I also understand that it was necessary for Forsyth to instruct HOLAC to run the light re-vetting Boris had warned me about. Without this instruction and the re-vetting, HOLAC would be unable to support my nomination, effectively removing me from the list. So what she's alleging is a sort of cloak and daggers technicality that left her and Adams and Alok Sharma off the list, despite Boris's intentions, and that it couldn't be traced back to Rishi Sunak, so Rishi Sunak could say that it wasn't his decision. Anyway, that's her allegation, but her headline is that this is to spite somebody who was born into poverty. This is complete codswallop. Complete codswallop. She isn't being spited because she was born into poverty. One of her sentences, I mean, there's so much of this rubbish. I was born into poverty and clawed my way out of it to build a new life for me and my family, and then carved out a role in public service. A seat in the Lords was recognition of that and a means of continuing to give back to society. I'm not going to lie. I believe sinister forces conspired against me and have left me heartbroken, but that emotion gives me all the strength I need to keep fighting. Yeah, well, she would have more sympathy from people if she'd actually done something while she was the Minister for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, but she didn't. She would have more sympathy if she was actually proactive as an MP, but she wasn't. It's okay to keep to come up with conspiracy theories, I think, frankly. It fills up the time. It's something to talk about. But they're meaningless. And she has no evidence here. And unlike Prince Harry, who doesn't have a lot of evidence in his testimony, there's nobody going to run up and provide that evidence after her. This isn't world-shattering information. This is a whinge about not getting what she wants. And I find it very difficult to be sympathetic. And I find it rather shocking that the Mail should be publishing this sort of biased and dull information. Why am I even dealing with it? Because it's typical Nadine Dorries, and because I think we need to expose these people, and if possible in their own words, and that is what I'm doing. This is who she is, whinging and calling attention for herself, but not really thinking of other people. She was elected with a very comfortable majority in a very good seat, and it was her job to listen to other people, to respond to other people, but she didn't. She didn't answer her mail. She didn't deal with her ministry. and she wants the reward. And she starts off her column here when Prime Minister Harold Macmillan was asked about the greatest challenge for a statesman. He famously replied, "Events, dear boy, events." What has that got to do with her? There's no events involved in this. Now we are seeing politics, number 10, once again consumed by events which have nothing whatsoever to do with the economy or the running of our public services, but instead focus on personalities and petty grievances. That's not events. When our former PM, Boris Johnson, told me I had been included in his resignation honours list, I was overwhelmed and immediately suffered another bout of imposter syndrome. And she goes on, this isn't about events. She isn't an event. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. I have no problem with somebody being put in the House of Lords who's born into poverty. But that somebody is not Nadine Dorries. There are plenty of people who are more than worthy of a seat in the House of Lords, from whatever background, whatever gender, whatever party. Nadine Dorries, frankly, is not one of them.